Previously known as Project Century, Ryu Ga Gotoku Studio's most anticipated game is now officially titled Stranger Than Heaven. So what even is it? Is this game still connected to the Like a Dragon universe? Is this guy an ancestor of our beloved characters? I mean, he does kinda look like Daigo. Will this game take place across a whole century? Well, to explain what this game will be about, let's crack on the existing theories that will lead us as to what exactly Stranger Than Heaven really is. While its title may sound bizarre right now, especially since we don't have much concrete info aside from its time period, setting, and a lead character whose name I definitely did not misheard from all the brain rot. One thing is for sure, Stranger Than Heaven is definitely going to take place in different periods. I mean, don't you find it weird that the first trailer we got for this game was set in 1915, where we see this young lad wearing a merchant's hoppy who has a penchant for ruthless beating the life out of people. It gave us the impression that the game would be set entirely in the Taisho era. This was a time of rapid globalization in Japan, with outside influence growing fast, foreign policies are being debated non-stop, and by 1914, Japan had already joined the Allies in World War I, fighting against Germany. So it's really surprising to see that in Summer Game Fest, we saw this older person in a jazz bar, once again unleashing violence with the same intensity as Johnny Century, all the while striking dramatic poses with a cigar in hand and those piercing blue eyes.
Beautiful eyes.
Which proves that Stranger Than Heaven doesn't just take place in 1915. The story continues after a certain time skip, with the main part of the game being set in 1943. That puts the game in the Showa era, right in the middle of World War II. That said, it doesn't mean we'll be following Mako Daito across a full century, all the way to the modern day sharing a drink with Ichiban, despite its project name being called as is. Stranger Than Heaven will focus on the Showa era, because this game will be about Makoto Tojo and the founding of the Tojo clan. Or is it really about that? But before that though, if you're excited to play as Mako, then Tiger drop that like button and join Otaku Define for more Like a Dragon content. Before we take on one of the most famous theories about this game, that being Mako Daito is Makoto Tojo, the founder of the Tojo clan, let's clear something first. Whether or not this game is set in the universe of Like a Dragon. Which begs the question, are we sure this is Sotenbori and not the real-life Dotonbori of Osaka? Well, a quick analysis of the game surrounding can prove that this is in fact Sotenbori, such as the sign of Osaka Talent Agency can be seen here, the very entertainment studio that we saw in Yakuza 5 that managed T-Set, which proves to us that Stranger Than Heaven is set in the same universe as all of the Like a Dragon games. So if this game is really about Makoto Tojo's story, then why isn't it set in Kamurocho? Shouldn't this be the story of the Omi Alliance then, as they are the biggest Yakuza family in the Kansai region? Actually, the Omi Alliance in-game was stated to be the biggest Yakuza faction in Japan, mirroring their real-life counterpart, the Yamaguchi-gumi. And coincidentally, this Yakuza clan started off as a dock union, which if we take a look back at the teaser trailer from before, Mako is a dock worker during 1915s. This means that Mako was part of the Omi Alliance, and I'm certain that there's going to be a major plot in the story where Mako decided on forming his own Yakuza family, which leads to the Tojo clan. If he's really Makoto Tojo, it might be the reason why we're going to have a time skip from 1915 when Mako was still a dock worker to 1943 where he now seems more jaded. It could be that he took the fall for someone else, a classic Yakuza game staple. Maybe someone close to him was about to be drafted, so he stepped in to protect them. Then after the time skip from 1915, we see him having survived the war and now living in 1943 Sotenbori. Given the fact that Stranger Than Heaven's tagline is "Life Never Stops," as seen here in the game's various logos, which may also support another theory that Mako Daito is similar to Bryce Fairchild, with both of them consuming the elixir of life. Both Mako and Bryce have piercing blue eyes.
Beautiful eyes.
maybe this is a side effect of consuming ambergris. Both Mako and Bryce are involved in the criminal underworld. Bryce as an assassin, especially with everything that happened during the Palagana incident, then Mako obviously had ties with racketeering. Additionally, Mako was a former dock worker, so he could have had access on the ambergris. Maybe Bryce tried selling some of it to make infinite wealth. Except there's not much solid evidence backing up this theory beyond speculation, since we've already learned in Pirate Yakuza that the ambergris was hidden in the Palekana Island. Second is that Rodriguez's father had the sole monopoly of the Dragon Elixir, and he obviously regretted what Bryce had done with its power, seemingly confirming that they are the only two known characters so far who actually consumed the Dragon Elixir. So no, Mako did not consume the Elixir of Life, nor is he related to Bryce and the Palekana. Mako has blue eyes because he is a Hafu like Ichiban, the Japanese term for having mixed racial ancestry. Now, another popular theory about Stranger Than Heaven is that Mako Daito is Makoto Tojo, with fans speculating that Daito will later change his name to the founder of the Tojo clan. And if you've known RGG by now, and how they name their characters and their love for Makoto, there's always a hidden meaning. Like for example, beyond the clear dragon symbolism in Kiryu Kazuma's name, Kazuma has been revealed in Kanzan as to refer to a single cavalry horse that would lead an entire army into battle, which describes Kiryu's personality to a T. Ichiban Kasuga's name doesn't only mean number 1, but it is also a pun, as it can be read as Kasuga Ichiban, which means this low life is number 1, which again perfectly reflects Ichiban's zero to hero journey. In the case of Mako Daito, not only does his name lead to an interesting theory for the founder of the Tojo clan, the name Mako can be written in different kanji combinations, which can either mean gentle, genuine, superior, or heart. Interestingly though, Mako's name in the Japanese trailer wasn't written in kanji but rather in katakana. This may mean that Mako sees his name as foreign, as katakana is commonly used to phonetically represent foreign names. However, Mako doesn't really have any English equivalent, which leads me to believe that his name is simply written that way. On the other hand, the surname Daito is fairly common in Osaka, and it translates to the Great East, which coincidentally is pretty similar to the name meaning of Makoto Tojo, as his name can be interpreted as the true Eastern Castle. But this is not enough proof to say that Daito is the same person as Tojo, given the fact that the oldest historical record we have about the Tojo clan dates to around 1960 during the heydays of Kazama, and we simply don't know anything about Makoto Tojo to really spin this theory around to make any cohesive sense, except for his ruthless personality that was stated in Yakuza 6, that he is fond of executing people in his garden, also his love for dogs. And so far, we can see that Mako is the most ruthless protagonist in the franchise. Adding to that, the whole trailer of Stranger Than Heaven revealed that Mako is keen on finding what he really is. And no, this doesn't mean that he lost his memories like Pirate Majima, nor did he erase his name like Joryu. Mako Daito is writing his story and making sure his name will be remembered. Whether or not to help the legacy of the Omi Alliance, or if he's truly the founder of the Tojo clan, will eventually reach that story when the game finally releases. Which then makes me think that it could be neither of those. If we look at the title Stranger Than Heaven, even in Japanese, there's no mention of the Like a Dragon branding, just like how Judgment is simply called Judge Eyes in Japan. So even though this is set in the same universe as the other Yakuza games, Stranger Than Heaven's main game won't just revolve around the Tojo clan or the Omi Alliance. Instead, this game will explore something far more layered. And RGG Studio has a reputation for going all in when telling stories like this. Stranger Than Heaven chose two time periods set in world wars for a good reason. This will be the main theme of the game, rather than just focusing on how the two famous Yakuza clans were built. RGG Studio has a fine resume in creating games that are unafraid to tackle political issues. Yakuza Like a Dragon criticized the modern politics of Japan. Lad Ishin has a strong stance about the future of their generation during the Bakumatsu period. Of course, Yakuza 6 holds stance about World War II, which I won't go deeper into to avoid spoiler territory. Stranger Than Heaven will tackle on the public sentiment at that time. During these world wars, their servicemen followed a traditional fighting code called Bushido, the code of the samurai warrior. where it demanded reckless bravery, absolute loyalty, and denying surrender. They believed that death in combat was more honorable than returning home. This is not something that you'll only see in the movies, as BBC has reported about Onoda-san, who hid in the jungle for almost 30 years, believing that he was still fighting the war. According to him, soldiers were supposed to die for the cause. The public at that time weren't very welcoming of any who survived due to surrender. They often saw them as weak and traitors who prioritized their lives more than the country. I mean, you have to understand that Japan at the time was very nationalistic, not to mention the war crimes they committed. And looking at how Mako Daito seems to be a rugged man who's trying to find what he really is, it does seem that he is a survivor, which led to him losing his job in the docks and started freelancing as a detective, and then eventually became a Yakuza. And again, I'm focusing on Stranger Than Heaven's tagline here, which is life never stops. But hey, maybe that is an obvious description, and Mako really did consume the elixir of life, where we will follow the game throughout the century. And I hope we also have that elixir, since we still don't know when this game will come out. But one thing is for sure, I'm excited to play this game, even if it takes 10 years in the joint. And I'm pretty certain we will see more about it in the Tokyo Game Show, as well as the RGG Summit. Sega and their studios are really hitting the park with these amazing upcoming games, such as their remake of P4, now titled Persona 4 Revival. But why is the reveal too short? If you're curious about that, then check this video out. Join Otaku Find for more Yakuza content. This is Mav, and stay awesome, my kodais.